Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today for another look at the gods of Galorian. Right now in our world, the Olympics is ongoing, or just finishing up. I'm not actually watching them, I don't know. And while I'm not a sports guy, this is the perfect time to thematically talk about Kurgess, the strong man, deity of bravery, competition, and sports. Let's get started. As always, we start by looking at the places where you can learn about Kurgess and his games yourself. For beginners, the book's Gods and Magic for both editions is always good for the basics, though for 1E the information is more scarce. It is the book Inner Sea Faiths, which is where the competition really begins to rev up. You find a few interesting ways to play in Faith Superiority, and the field is laid out in planar adventures. Finally, we have a few tricks up our sleeve, taken from the playbooks of Paths of the Righteous, the Travel Guide, the Ruby Phoenix Tournament Adventure Path, and the Firebrand book. Kurgess' story begins abandoned on a farmer's doorstep. The child was raised just like any other child was, until the age of 8, when his extraordinary strength began to manifest. He was able to pull all his siblings all day in a sled without getting tired. He was able to lift a stuck carriage by himself. Eventually, after helping a merchant, he was given an offer: travel across Taldor and compete in various competitions across the kingdom. Kurgess accepted and began his journey, where he became a legend. As a god for only a few hundred years, Kurgess has a pretty consistent look to him. He is a man in his prime of life, with muscles sculpted better than a statue. The inner clothing he wears are short pants designed to not get in the way when running. All else is smooth and tanned, including his shaved bald head. As Kurgess became more famed, jealousy rose at others. During a massive chariot race, some competitors decided to set a trap in order to harm Kurgess. However, during the match, Kurgess not only realized there was a trap, but also that it could potentially harm some of the other competitors. So he purposely drove into the trap, letting himself die to protect others. This glorious sacrifice brought the attention of Desna and King Kalen, who petitioned for the man to obtain godhood for his heroism. Which brings us to today's first side tangent, the part of the show where a massive nerd pretends to know about sports. This week we look at one of the most popular sports in the Inner Sea region, Basilisk. The game is simple. 2 teams, they have net stick things which they use to carry a ball. They need to get the ball into their opponent's goal. There, however, is a second ball. If someone is hit with this ball, they freeze until touched by the player on the team designated as a cleric. If the person hit currently has a scoring ball, they instead put down a visor which they cannot see through, and must rely on the teammates to be their eyes. Not my cup of tea, but Taldor at least loves the game. Kurgess' faith is devoted to sportsmanship and athletic achievement, and the belief that strength of body and character is the path which leads people to nirvana. This leads to lots of training and lots of traveling, all to improve themselves and to compete in various competitions. One common practice is, when there is a spot which it will take impressive athletic ability to climb, followers will place a chain link there to prove they reached it, with the chain eventually sitting at impressive length when enough of Kurgess' followers come along. There are 3 main groups within the faithful: the champions who compete, the heralds who act as coaches or agents, and the laity, those who show their devotion through production of food for competitions. Priests of Kurgess do not stay in one place for long, traveling the inner sea region to experience as many competitions as possible. Those that do stay in one place instead focus on organizing competitions in order to draw others in. Often priests look for worthy athletes which they can sponsor, a role the church does not take lightly. Priests can also be seen hunting monsters or running orphanages, both things that are connected to the faith of Kurgess, of protecting people and protecting the young. There are many priests who cover themselves in many clothing, building their muscles until the time they are needed. But above all, a priest's role is to enforce the good sportsmanship which is central to Kurgess' teachings. Which brings us to our second side tangent, the followers of Kurgess known as the Lair Chasers. These followers make a point to challenge the world, seeing the natural world as an obstacle course to be bested. They have the power to supercharge themselves using their adrenaline, allowing them to better take on the world. They can also gain specific focuses on climbing, swimming, riding, running, and so on. They also can challenge themselves to further exceed their limits, stacking to infinitum, max dice roll after max dice roll. The largest Kurgan temple is found in Taldor, being stone structures built with iron-gilded gold pillars. Well, they're iron pillars gilded with gold. I probably could have worded those words better, but anyway. They're either built as part of some stadium or coliseum, or built nearby with a hall passing between the two structures. In areas where sports are less celebrated but Kurgess is still revered, solitary stone temples stand. Kurgess' realm is Kurgess' field, found in Nirvana. To the casual traveler, the empty field full of orange clay circles can be an unsettling walk. However, those who are from the area are happy to take to the rings to have friendly competitions, whatever they can do as a pickup game. That said, it is the urban centers in the field, which are full of coliseums and stadiums, that have the highest concentration of competitions in the entire plane. Which brings us to our third side tangent. We are looking at competitions, so let's look at one of the largest in the multiverse, the field of battle. Outside the town of Heroes' Heart, the domain of Kid and Kaelin, those who wish to take on the greatest challenge in the multiverse gather for the greatest of contests. What specifically is tested? Well, it's Elysium. It can be anything from strength, speed, trickery, or intelligence. Whoever gets how all those go together gets a point today. Anyway, and not only that, the challenge is issued by a variety of beings, several ephemeral lords lining up to put forth their own challenges to play. If you play in Elysium, be ready for anything. Now, as we wind down, let's look at miscellaneous facts about the faith. First, the centers of worship, of course, are in Taldor, as well as former Taldor-controlled areas of Eridan, Druma, and Isgra. Also, the Shackles has Widowmaker Island, which devotes a yearly game to him. This game is actually one of his faith's holidays, called the Carnival of Kurgess, though the fact that it's more of a blood sport makes it controversial with the main faithful. The other main holiday is the Running of the Raptors, the yearly event which Kurgess once lost his life to. Finally, his holy book is the Catalogue of Champions, a book detailing all sports and competitions, notable champions, and various world records. Ending off with allies as usual, we start with planar allies. First is Exodor, a wild hearse which Kurgess tamed while he was still alive. The golden maned hearse is still ridden by the strongman, and the hearse's descendants do allow the worshippers of Kurgess to ride them. Again, better ways I could have ordered that sentence, but I think I got it out again. Anyway, Multiverse is a chimera who Kurgess fought and killed during his life. Now the tailless beast soul has been taken by Kurgess to serve as a guardian. Kurgess' herald is an astral deva known as Watcher Somios. Having seen Kurgess' sacrifice, it was the Watcher who was given the honor of rising Kurgess to godhood. As for the deities, there are rumors that Deza and Kid and Kaelin are actually his parents, but at the very least they sponsored his ascension. The faiths of Kurgess and Irori also get along well, both believing in spending hours practicing and perfecting their bodies. Though the specifics are when they start getting morally at arms against each other. It's been a long day. Anyway, there's also overlapping kinship with the faiths of Senrei and Melania. On the other hand, the strongman stands against most of the faiths that focus on destruction, like Norgava and Rovagog, though he is willing to side with some of their worshippers if it is for the greater good in the end. And one final side attached to talk on a deity who probably gets on well with Kurgess. We have Moishi, the Festival Queen. Imperial Lord of Celebrations, Contests, and Sports, the Azata is a fan of sports and competitions of all types. This means everything from ball sports to dance-offs to trivia to art contests. And as long as there is a competition for people to give their all, she is ready to cheer all of them on. She believes the values all Azatas place on pedestals, love, freedom, etc. However, she believes that to gain them, one must do all they can to take them, pushing themselves beyond their limits to achieve them and keep them held close. After all, that means that they can fully appreciate and celebrate them. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Again, not a sports guy myself, but there are plenty of gods who fill every role in Pathfinder, with even more on the way. And less on the way with the whole Oral Immortals thing, which is officially started with Prayer of Death this past few weeks. But we talk on gods more next month. This month, we have more Starfinder to look towards as well. See you then.